There are moments when you feel like you're not yourself, right? As if something inside you wants to explode, spilling over without warning. A word said in the wrong tone, a look, a situation that seems simple, and suddenly you're here in this emotional minefield, where the bomb goes off as anger or in unexpected tears or in words you wish you had never said. And then comes the remorse, that guilt weighing on your conscience. You ask yourself in the silence of the night, why am I like this? Why can't I control this? Why do people seem to handle this so icily, and I don't? The truth is, you're not falling apart because you're broken. You simply never learned something essential that should have been taught a long time ago. Something fundamental, something most of us carry as an invisible wound. The genuine ability to recognize, understand, and intelligently take care of our emotions. And today, in this moment we're sharing, you're going to learn that blowing up is not a failure. It's just a clear sign that your body and mind are desperately asking for help to learn how to dance with what you feel. This is another Headspace Talks. Let's do this together. Do you know why this happens? Why you blow up so icily? Why it feels like you have less control than the people around you? The answer is not that you're too emotional or too weak. It's not any personal flaw. It's not that you're broken or defective. The answer goes much deeper. It's in the invisible roots of your personal story. Ever since you were a child, you've been receiving messages about how to deal with emotions. Some of them were whispered in quiet moments, others shouted in moments of conflict. If your mother exploded in uncontrollable anger, you learned that strong emotions are like that. Wild, dangerous, uncontrollable. If your father swallowed his emotions in silence, kept everything to himself, you learned that feeling is dangerous, something you should avoid. If you were told over and over again, don't cry, don't be so sensitive, wipe that sad look off your face, you internalized deeply that your emotions were inappropriate, inconvenient, wrong, that there was something wrong with you for feeling, and now you carry that. You carry all this emotional inheritance without even consciously knowing you're carrying it. Your nervous system has been calibrated for years to react in this specific way, to blow up when under pressure, to freeze when threatened, to run away when it's all too much. Because that's how you learned to survive in that environment. But here is the beautiful point, the point that changes everything. Now you know this. Now you're aware. And knowing changes everything. Inside you, there is a constant voice. It talks all the time, in the highs and lows. When something happens, anything, this voice creates a story about it. And that story your mind creates determines how you feel and what you do next. If someone criticizes you in a meeting, this inner voice may clearly whisper, "You're incompetent. You're never going to make it. Everyone can see you're a failure. You don't deserve to be here." And when this voice speaks like that, with so much certainty, with so much force, what else can you do but feel that emotion explode? Many times, our emotions are so intense and overwhelming, not because the situation itself is truly that terrible at its core, but because the story our mind created about that situation is absolutely terrifying for us. These are the cognitive distortions no one ever taught us to identify. You interpret someone's silence as personal rejection, a mistake you make as permanent proof that you're incapable, a simple no as you don't deserve it, forgetting something as you're not important, and each one of these distorted interpretations triggers emotions that get stronger and stronger, more and more painful. But here's the secret no one told you, that few teachers ever mention. You can rewrite that story. You can stop halfway and ask yourself questions that activate your critical thinking. Is what I'm thinking totally true? Really? Does it make any logical sense? What advice would I give a friend if they told me they were thinking exactly what I'm thinking right now? When you can question your own thoughts like this, when you activate that critical judgment that exists inside you, the distortions slowly start to unravel. And when the distortions step out of the way, when you see the real truth of the situation, the emotions lose much of their overwhelming intensity. Here's something that's truly hard to say out loud. Something you may never have heard before. You did not deserve what you went through, period. You did not deserve to hear those cruel criticisms. You did not deserve to be taught that your emotions were wrong, inadequate, unwanted. And even more, it's absolutely true that you shouldn't be carrying this heavy guilt now, every time you blow up in anger or cry uncontrollably, because this is also part of that invisible cycle. You blow up, and then immediately after, you deeply hate yourself for having exploded. You create a destructive cycle where the original emotion, anger, sadness, fear, anxiety, is instantly followed by intense shame, by merciless self-judgment. How could I do that? What kind of person am I? I'm losing control, and that makes everything even more intense, amplifies the suffering. Forgiveness starts here. It starts with deeply recognizing that you did the best you could with what you had at that exact moment. Recognizing that you are human, not a machine without emotions. Recognizing that emotions are not villains you need to defeat, they are messages from your body and your mind. Recognizing that blowing up doesn't make you a bad person, a failed person. It makes you someone who is still learning, who is still growing. And this learning, this growth journey, requires gentleness and genuine compassion. With you, always with you first. Let's talk about something that seems way too small to matter, but is actually incredibly huge. Have you ever noticed that there are days when you can control yourself much better? Days when that situation that would normally make you blow up for sure comes your way and you don't explode? Your muscles don't tense up? Your voice doesn't come out loud? You're able to simply breathe. It seems absolutely insignificant. When you think of the whole journey you still feel you have ahead of you, but it's not insignificant. It isn't. That's a real win. Every time you can name an emotion, instead of just blindly living it, I'm angry right now, I'm scared, I'm tired, you're activating a completely different part of your brain. You're stepping out of autopilot, out of pure reactivity. Every deep breath you manage to take before you yell, every deliberate pause you manage to make before saying that word you know will hurt. Each one of these small, tiny moments is a genuine victory of yours. And when you start really noticing these small wins, when you can recognize, hey, even if it was hard, I tried today, and that counts. Something fundamental shifts inside you. Gratitude starts to genuinely show up. You begin to be grateful not for a perfect result, because perfect doesn't exist, but for the attempt. For the real effort. For the undeniable fact that you are here now, in this present moment, still willing to learn and change, despite everything. Here is the deep truth you need to hear and believe. You deserve a calm and healthy relationship with yourself and with others. You deserve to blow up less. You deserve to feel less corrosive anger. You deserve less remorse, eating away at your peace. Not because you're perfect, far from it, but because you're human. And being human, being a sensitive being, is absolutely deserving of compassion and care. When you truly start to self-regulate, when you start taking care of your emotions with real intelligence and authentic courage, your relationships visibly change. The people around you no longer have to constantly walk across a minefield waiting for the next explosion. They can breathe around you. They can relax. And you can finally relax too. But more important than that, deeper than any external relationship, you're able to genuinely be with yourself. You can be alone without that constant anxiety consuming you. You can look in the mirror and recognize that you're trying, that you're doing your best, that you're in process. And trying, when you're hurt, when you're learning, when you're carrying old heavy stories, trying is a genuine act of love for yourself. The past is definitely behind you. Those voices you heard years ago, those specific moments when you blew up in ways you regret, those days when you deeply hated yourself, all of that is in the past now. It is. But here's the uncomfortable truth. You're still living them. You're still reacting in the present as if it were happening right now. Your body is still on alert, your mind's still in survival mode. True emotional self-regulation begins when you can bring your full attention to this moment. Now, in this exact second, to your body in this very instant. Can you feel where the tension is? In your jaw, clenched like you're about to bite something. In your hands, closed into fists. in your shoulders, raised almost to your ears, in the muscles of your chest, tight and constricted. When you can notice this clearly, when you can bring this full and compassionate attention to your body, you're stepping out of reactive mode. You're returning to reflective, thinking mode. And here's the miracle in all of this that changes everything. When you change your physical posture, when you deliberately release tension from your body, when you breathe deeply and consciously, your mind changes along with it. Your chemistry changes. Because, and this is crucial, you feel with your body. Emotion isn't floating in some invisible cloud, in some abstract realm of the mind. It's right here, in every cell of you, in every bit of tension, in every breath you take. And when you can work with your body consciously, the mind naturally follows. So let me tell you something I truly wish someone had told me a long time ago. When I was young and suffering, emotional self-regulation is not about rigidly controlling everything. It's not about pretending you're calm when you're furious inside. It's not about swallowing your tears when your heart is broken. It's not about becoming a machine without feelings, without life. Emotional self-regulation is the complete opposite of that. It's you saying, with power, I can feel everything, absolutely everything, but I don't have to be controlled by anything. It's recognizing anger without letting it yell and hurt people for you. It's feeling sadness deeply without letting it destroy you permanently. It's allowing fear without letting it completely paralyze you. It's a sacred triad: intelligence to understand, compassion to hold, and courage to act. And out of these three elements, compassion is exactly what we lack the most, what we most often deny ourselves. Because in the end, you're here learning this, investing time in this, because you want to be able to live better, because you want to build relationships that can breathe, that flow naturally, that are based on mutual respect. Because you want to be able to look back a few years from now and honestly say, I changed, I learned, I truly took care of myself. I loved myself. That's what truly matters. You don't have to be perfect. Perfect doesn't exist. You just need to be willing to step out of autopilot. You just need to start telling yourself every time that emotion comes on strong, I can feel this completely, but I can also choose what to do with it. So here we are, reaching the end of this path we started together. And you might be asking yourself now, where exactly do I start? How do I actually do all this in practice? And the answer is simple, but powerful. You start now, not tomorrow, not when everything is perfect, because that moment never comes. Now, in this moment, name one emotion today, just one. Feel it fully, acknowledge it without denying it. Validate it by saying, it's legitimate for me to feel this. Tomorrow. Question 1, thought that hurts you, that limits you. After that, give yourself a moment, a single deep breath, before reacting to that trigger that normally makes you blow up. Small steps. Because emotional self-regulation is not a final destination you arrive at. It's a path you walk one day at a time, with compassion for yourself. And if at some point on this journey you feel you need professional help, that you need a psychologist to guide you, a psychiatrist to understand your chemistry, a structured therapy, go, seek it. It's not weakness, it's real wisdom. It's you choosing to truly take care of yourself in a deep way. But in the meantime, always remember this: you are not broken, you are not defective. You are just learning. You are just growing. And learning to relate better to your emotions, to self-regulate, is fundamentally learning to live better, to love better. So let me leave you with one final question for you to reflect on deeply. If you could explode less, if you could live with more real peace inside yourself, how would your life change? How would your relationships change? How would you feel waking up the next day? Think about that. Really, think about it. And of course, if you want to keep walking this path with me, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Here, at Headspace Talks, we learn together to transform pain into strength and silence into healing.